Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at Tiny Tina from Borderlands 3 made by McFarlane. And this is an interesting figure because it's a good example of the kind of paint jobs we can expect from McFarlane, and even the kind of sculpts sometimes, and certainly the kinds of articulation. It's not their strong suit, and I think that's not really up for debate anymore. I think the last time they had really good articulation was Halo 3. And I know a few of the Borderlands of the Fortnite figures have it too, but by and large, it's not a consistent through line for the line or for the company. However, we have seen some terrible paint jobs and sculpts from them in recent history. This is a good example of the opposite of that. It's pretty solid. So let's go ahead and get this off the stand and take a closer look. This figure stands to the top of the head about 6¼ inches, not counting those bunny ears. And that's going to make her just about 15½ centimeters. Like I said, there's a lot of paint and a lot of sculpt on here. We are still missing some details, and that's probably due to the fact that this was in production long before the game released, and those kind of things can change on a video game model much easier than they can an action figure. Things like band-aids on the arms, having the other rabbit head up here rather than just being an interchangeable piece. We'll get to that in a minute. Or things like the rabbit ears down here, these things being folded down in the game as opposed to being up right here. Things like that I will just let slide because it's likely the result of the production timeline rather than an accuracy issue. So that's okay. But as you can see, we are loaded with tons of detail. We can look at her pouch on her back or her backpack, her shoulder pad. I mean, just basically everywhere. There's lots of detail. Is it as stylized as it probably should be? I'm going to say no. We have a lot less heavy black lining and a lot less cel-shaded type look, but it still seems to be fairly well representative of the character, so that's okay. You can see again more detail on the gun. We'll get to that later, but all in all, the sculpt and paint work on this figure is really nice. As far as the paint goes, it's fairly accurate. We are missing some details, like this abdominal section I believe should have some gray for like the plate work down here, and like her knuckles should have pink where it says Tiny and Tina on her knuckle pads. But given that we have so much other, I think that's okay. It's not like the Doom guy where there's two colors and it looks like a 2-year-old painted it. This lady, I guess she's a lady now, huh? I haven't played the game. This character has a lot of paint work going on, so missing a little bit is okay. It's not like the Doom guy where we were missing all of it and it wasn't okay. So aesthetically speaking, I'm going to give this figure a 9. It's really well done. I like how clean it is. You can see the logo on the chest is nice and clean. Even the tattoo on her arm, while it's not perfect, it's still pretty good. I think that's all right. So yeah, I think that's pretty nice. Now, as far as accessories go, we do have the interchangeable mask thingy for her head. So you have the 2 ears that snap on up there. Take those off, and you can put this one on instead. Again, I haven't played the game, so I can't comment on accuracy. All I know is this is shown being like on the side of her headband at some point, so I don't know about that, but we do have that accessory. We have this rabbit, which I guess you could count as an accessory because you have to peg it on yourself, but you're not really going to remove it, so that'll stay there. We do have her gun, which is very nicely detailed. It looks awesome. And we have her backpack, which doesn't have to be on her back. You can take it off, or in fact, you have to put it on. But again, it's nicely detailed. And then we do also have the display stand that says Borderlands, and that is that. So decent batch of accessories. I'll give it an 8. I think 8's fine. It's all right. I'll give it an 8. So that's pretty cool. Now, as far as articulation goes, this is really where McFarlane does not hit the mark. The head is on a ball peg, and it'll move around fine. Like, you're not getting anything crazy done, but that's good. The head's fine. Ball pegs are good for heads, so that's fine. For the shoulder, I mean, we have this big shoulder pad, but there's nothing done to make up for it, so you're really not going to be able to pose it very well at all. You do get your full rotation, of course. No bicep swivel. You do get a swivel down here at the elbow, but it feels like it's going to break if I use it, so I'm not going to do that. But you do get about 90 degrees if you really make it go. Again, it feels like it's going to break, so I'm not going to mess with it, but it does look like it can achieve 90 degrees. And then for the wrists, we have an actual ball hinge, which is nice, I guess. That's fine. Same thing on this side, though this arm with the backpack up there is a lot more limited to what it can do. Without it, it's still not that much better than this one because it does have another shoulder pad here. So not great articulation for sure for the arms. For the diaphragm, it's not bad. It's not great. Like, it doesn't really lean forward too much, but it does kind of jostle around. Mostly just rotate, but you do get some out of there, so that's okay. I can't get anything to move in the lower torso, like a waist swivel. I think there's a waist swivel, but it will not move for me, so I couldn't tell you about that. For the hips, we do get a swivel that brings them forward, and she can get almost horizontal, so that's pretty good. As far as going back, you get just a little bit, but that's good. You do get some horizontal movement or lateral movement, which is fine. Not the best type of joint, but it's there, although it does give you a weird residual hunk of plastic. I can't comment on that anymore, but there's no thigh swivel, so not the best tips. I would just leave them like this, honestly. For the knees, you have a single swivel joint or swivel hinge, so you get a little bit less than 90 degrees, and then it'll rotate around. Like, that's useful. It's not, but you get a single jointed knee otherwise. And then the ankles are ball pegs, so very basic articulation. It's not great. It's really cheaply put together, but it's functional enough that it's more or less an articulated statue. You're not going to be doing any crazy posing with this. It'll just be enough articulation to give it a little bit of a unique pose to put on your shelf. So articulation's only going to get a 6 on this figure. So as far as the final verdict goes, it's a lot like the Krieg review I did not that long ago. They're not good action figures per se, but they are good enough for what they are if you know what McFarlane is good for, which is sculpt and paint. And it's good enough that I think people, if you want Tiny Tina on your shelf, this will be fine. Just don't expect it to be a highly articulated action figure, even though that is what it's advertised as being. So I'll give it a 7 overall because the paints and sculpts are very nice. Decent batch of accessories, lots of little details on there to appreciate. Just don't expect to be able to pose it very much. So with that information, I don't think anybody will be disappointed with a purchase they decide to make or not make. You guys have all of the info you need now. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should do that. You should. I have new videos up just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.